their strategy was pretty solid. I mean, Kamazot's early game solid, Asari's early game solid.
Yeah.
Raijin's not the worst in terms of wave clear in the early game either, so their pressure was pretty good too.
The best mage, but because of how Obey fought in that mid lane and poked out Yaman #1, as well as killing Emilito, of course, right before the minions got to meet in the mid lane, it meant that Yaman couldn't play up. If Yaman's able to play up and can juke out the hammer from Emilzy, NRG end up getting that pressure. I mean, that is a huge deal that Emilito died in that early game and Yaman got poked out because then he couldn't step up and get the pressure in that mid lane.
And then obviously with your jungler and solo only being put behind there too, you lose your buffs. Everyone's behind. Moose and Carb and RTO banned out. Nobody else surprised by the RTO. Moose and Carb, obviously, NRG, like, let's not deal with that again.
No, and you know what? We've seen so much success from this AMC, I can't really blame them. I mean, yes, it didn't do particularly well for Dignitas in their setup against Valence, but it's just guaranteed pressure in the early game.
Why wouldn't NRG look for it for themselves, though?
They might not be
by
able...
the way. It's not low-key, I'm joking. It's invisible because it's a pass ban, just so you guys at home know. Sorry.
Maybe
a silly joke.
Yeah, I mean,
to be fair,
it's kind of a silly joke.
AMC got banned, so maybe low-key did too.
Yeah, who knows? Right? Who knows? I mean, NRG could have first picked for themselves, but look at what Valence Squadron did to punish that sort of early AMC pick for Dignitas. It was gods like Anher that really shut down Immobile gods. That is such a good matchup for Anher, and you know Ataraxia has it in the god pool.
I love the call from NRG here, actually, with that pass, because it does leave a lot of things on the table. Everyone's been saying second pick seems to be a little bit stronger because you get 2 primary characters.
Sure.
Well, it means the first pick gets the best character potentially in the eyes of that team.
Erlong Shen is that pick for NRG, and that's pressure in the early game, almost certainly for Maniac in that solo lane. Raijin's pressure for Obey in mid, and Serket as well, which can bring that early pressure, mostly just looking to put out that damage. And it's the same sort of idea as Ratatosker. You either A, fight the jungler because they want to be in your jungle and are going to be in your face, or B, they just say, well, I'll take your buff, and then you have to fight me, and that's exactly what Twig likes to do.
Well, Sol locked in for NRG, can flex to the dual lane, but mostly this split, and the last split too, Sol's been pushed towards the mid lane now, and against a Raijin and against a Serket, not the worst case scenario.
Sobek, the pick for Raffer, a god that he seems to be going back to a little bit more, and can interrupt a lot of what Serket likes to do and Raijin, so I like the idea of this pick, but needs to be careful because of how much quick damage Obey has. Sobek can struggle against teams where if he goes to engage and even finds the correct target with the pluck, if there's enough damage on the enemy side to just blow him up before he can get into the lurking in the waters between CC and damage, it can be a tough matchup for him.
Kakula's been an interesting character too, because like we saw him rise to fame when he first was released and available. Started to drift a little bit, but he's viable is what it seems to be coming across as. He's not like permanently has to be picked.
Teams are realizing that he might not be as insane as they initially thought, and that's usually how it goes. I mean, there's a god that comes out and he gets picked, and his win rate is like
Ganesh,
right in the middle. Yeah, Ganesh. So like it's just like, hey, this god's winning about half the games, and it's when he does well, he wins, and when he doesn't do well, he loses, just like every other god in the game. And it's just sort of the same sort of mold for Kakulin.
Jingwei and Fafnir banned out, so definitely recognizing some of Obey's strengths there, especially Ataraxi, who likes to do the farming, and Emilzy, who played so well in the Fafnir last game. It's over to Obey now for either their support or Hunter.
I like that Fafnir ban a lot. Kernanos for Ataraxia, he loves this god. He was all in on this Hunter right away and continues to play him, even if other Hunters may not think that he's quite as powerful as he used to be. For my money, I still think he's a really strong Hunter. I think that anytime you've got an ultimate that is going to do a 2-second CC, regardless of diminishing returns, is going to be impactful during a team fight.
Awilix locked in. I love this sort of composition.
Love it.
You have a Sobek to set up for the Awilix. Erlang Shen can as well a little bit, I guess.
Yep.
And then you've also got Serket, who is a very leapy alongside Kakulin. Leapy character.
Talking about gods you don't want to fight in the early game, Awilix is like #1, near the top, no doubt. Feather Step, insane in the early stages. I love this pick for NRG. It synergizes well. They've got a ton of knockups. Obey already has a ton of leaps as well. Kakulin, Serket, Raijin. You have that option to pull them out of it. Really strong pick by NRG.
And finally, Obey were looking Ganesha as the last pick here for Emilzy. Not a bad character, this, against Assassins, just because silence is one of the strongest things to deal with Assassins.
Plus, Awilix wants to has to hit at least 1 auto, or hit the 3 with the Moonlit Charge. And then Ganesh can just kind of sit there and silence it out, and all of a sudden, you don't get that opportunity.
It's not all mitts. No.
We should do something with that. That's good.
You reckon? Thanks.
Yeah, we can make a skin out of that, I think.
I mean,
who says no a lot?
I have no clue.
You don't have any idea?
Mine's a little bit blank. Well, I'm getting old now. I would have had a really witty comeback normally.
Yeah, you would have. What's happening to you?
He would have said no. I don't know. I can't think of a single
Could be like a Judge Ganesh. Like, he could just be like, no, and then have like some judge things. I don't know. I'm trying to help.
You're helping me now. I'm like, my mind's completely blank on who says no a lot.
I mean, like, parents say no a lot.
I mean, I guess your parents did.
Yeah, I know, because I was always asking dumb questions.
That's because you
I'm
still
trying
do.
to put you back in the groove.
I know
here,
you're helping. Thank
yeah.
you. I can feel it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm ramping back up. Well, into game we go. NRG are down 1-0. Obey are up. And it's a very similar situation to last game. The only difference is here is that NRG are going to be on the bottom side of the map now. And keep an eye on where Wheelix and Erlang Shen are. Starting to pressure already on this right-hand side. Ganesha and Raijin in the mid lane. Their wave clear is not bad, but it's not as good as a freaking Sullen Medusa. That's for sure. And that's why you can see NRG have a little bit of an advantage here on this side of the map.
Now adapting, met by Xaylia in that jungle. Captain Twig's going to try and get the minis off of this speed buff just to guarantee himself some experience. As you mentioned, NRG's going to have that wave clear advantage in mid.
And Adapting's going to rotate in, knowing he's got Emilito and Yamin coming in, and force Captain Twig away from his own speed. So that does get picked up and stolen by NRG. Good play in the early game from NRG. Now, this is very similar to what Obey did to them, but Twig's in trouble.
But Featherstep was on cooldown, so he's going to be able to escape. Again, Twig just looking for the minis off of those fire elementals to guarantee himself some experience.
Everyone's only level 1 here. Take into account that the buff was split 3 ways, so Yamin and Emilito still need a couple of minions to help themselves out. Now they'll hit 2, and the dashing just misses from Emilito. If that would have connected, I think the elephant would have been in a bit more trouble than that.
Would have at least forced the shell out of Emilzy for sure. On the right-hand side, Maniac and Captain Twig still trying to box it out. The former jungle solo partnering, as on the right side mid-Harpies, they go to NRG. So this is just NRG getting back to the wave as soon as possible so that they can at least try and go and finish off those fire elementals and their own buffs on the right-hand side.
Well, we didn't check him in the left-hand lane for a little while now as we watch Adapting being pressured out as well as Maniac for the time being. But it's Kernos versus Sobek. It's not something I get to say in terms of a lane matchup too often, but this is how EU's starting to look these days, where you see a hunter versus a support at the start of the game.
And that's what you have to do if you're the hunter in that position. You have to invade the enemy buffs, just as Obey has on the right-hand side. Xaylia and Captain Twig actually with a lead, but now Xaylia needs to be careful. No transformation for him, but Adapting decides to go just for the fire elementals, not for the kill.
And there's an ult coming out from Maniac early on. Apologies, not an ult, just some pressure coming out there. And the curse too to slow them down. Xaylia's one hit from death, and he will go down under the tower. Maniac takes an extra shot. He didn't really want to, but Twig can't pressure anymore. Minions will help out, but it's not going to be enough to bring Maniac down. NRG, as we said here, Aggro, generally they turn back up at the start of the next game. Very angry and try and make plays.
It all comes back to that pressure in mid earned by Emilito and Yamin. They're the ones who can rotate into that right-hand side and help out on that first blood instead of having Pretty Prime and Emilzy there.
So speed buff going to go with the wave energy here as well. So Adapting's had the first 2 speed buffs of the game as it stands. Gold lead is still even at the moment. Obey doing a pretty good job of just holding off where the pressure's been.
And that's the buffs on the left side, all going Obey's way. That's Ataraxia throwing that extra clear around. He got red, now he's got purple. He got the oracles on the left-hand side as well, and pretty much all of that is solo farm for him as well.
Yeah.
He's going to be way far ahead of Emil.
Yamin in middle lane under a bit of pressure there, but the Disapparate comes into play a little bit. Yamin looking to continue the pressure with the Solar Blast and return some damage back to Emilzy. Luckily enough, he timed that well, so he didn't need too much from the Raiju after Emilzy went in.
This is what we're used to seeing when it comes to weird metas that develop in the midst of the middle of a season. You've got your Hunter starting in mid, and a lot of teams didn't really know what to do with that at first. I love the adjustment that Obey has made, saying, fine, put your Hunter in mid. We'll still put our Guardian there. We're going to put our Hunter in the duo lane and get a god that can out-pressure whatever Guardian you're putting there. Now, Sobek near the top in terms of Guardians that can clear on their own. I mean, Terra's near the top, of course. That's who this kind of strategy first started with. Ganesh very good at solo clearing. Sobek right there with those two. So the idea is there from NRG, but the lead that Ataraxia has already earned for himself and for Obey, keeping themselves out of being behind because of the first blood on the right-hand side of the map, is all because of the strategy that NRG is going with. It's just a response to this sort of ADC mid-laner meta that's kind of developed.
And I think that's the difference between Game 1 and Game 2 here. The Game 1 situation was because Emilito died. He didn't manage to get any sort of pressure on that left-hand side of the map early on because he got the extra farm.
Right.
Instead, all 3 lanes were in trouble. Whereas Obey, they have a small lifeline at the moment in Ataraxia and have to try and continue making sure that can continue.
Both junglers have an opportunity in the solo lane to really get far ahead off of the matchups. Adapting, looking for the knock-up and pull combination onto Xaylia. And that's why we see Purification Beads actually be the relic for Xaylia so far. But then as well, Captain Twig has that healing shutdown onto the ultimate for Maniac. So that's why we saw the Circuit pick so early on. In response to the first pick, Erlong Shen from NRG, that last breath has the opportunity to completely shut down all that healing.
So 4 minutes in now, and it's only 1-0 in favor of NRG. 500 gold lead for Obey for the time being. Speed buff has been given to Twig this time, so Obey manages to defend their own speed buff this time round. But look at Ataraxia on the left-hand side now, heading towards the enemy jungle. Will meet Emelito, and round the corner comes Rafa too, so it's going to be a 2v1. But pressure for Obey in the mid lane means that they may be able to rotate and support. Now Yaman and Adapting coming too.
Ataraxia just trying to stall, but Obey say that we don't want to continue this invade because it's now 4 people on this left-hand side. Twig is on the right, killing Maniac.
And obviously take into account the anti-heal coming out there means that Maniac won't be able to get the heal off his ultimate this time round, and now it's pressure for Obey on the right-hand side towards the blue. Speed buff not up just yet. Adapting is here, though. He'll be looking to just try and stop the blue being taken, but in a 2v1, there's not a lot he can do right now. That's why he's got more reinforcements coming, but will they be here in time?
Xaylia with the well-timed transformation. This is exactly what he wants. Yaman needs to be careful here with that Disapparate. Well-timed gets him out of that CC, but Adapting not doing too much damage to Captain Twig. Maniac returning, though, means that Obey reconsidering their invade.
4v4 now with how this stands between the two. Left-hand side Oracle's being done by Emelito. He'll get contested. Azalea pulled in the air, but beats the way. Back to safety. Prime looking to poke down Yamin a little bit. Just a little bit off the mark there. And Disapparate now down for Yamin too. Both Hunters now transitioning towards mid lane. And round the back, Emelito should have pressure, but here goes Ataraxia.
Emil's got no mana, so Ataraxia goes aggressive. Forces out that Aegis, and now Pretty Prime's here as well. This is a kill opportunity for Obey. Tycho drums, but the jukes. Emil only got hit by 1.
Only got hit by 1, and Twig only got hit by half. That ultimate coming out from the Supernova there from Yamin, but was forced back too. Everyone's still standing, but just keep an eye on those relic situations. That's the telltale difference right now.
That was definitely a kill in the mid lane, but Emelito using that extra movement speed on the left-right. You can move at full movement speed with that Medusa passive, moving left and right, and still a little bit faster, even moving backwards. That extra bit of mobility ends up paying off for him, and you know that Prime's kicking himself for that one.
Yeah, surprised to see Ataraxia being the aggressor onto Emelito. There's something we've seen more of him this year overall. He's been saying it himself that he feels like he has been more aggressive. And we haven't really spoken about it, but it's true. He has been the one to engage a lot more now.
Without a doubt. Much more willing to be the initiator, the sacrificial lamb when necessary. And it's no surprise to me, and it's no coincidence that Obey has seen more success with Ataraxia playing that sort of play style. Not nearly as passive as he used to be, is in the thick of things in the team fight. And now, I mean, he's always been that hunter that you can give a lead to and trust that he's not going to throw it away and still be that impact in the late game. But now Ataraxia feels to me like a hunter that can get ahead in the mid game all on his own and then push that lead without it being handed to him by a start that his team does.
He's going to be a little bit careful in the laning phase now as Emelito will have lane pressure for now. Neither with Devour's Goddess just yet. We'll see if they go into that as Adapting looking to pressure Xaylia once more. But Adapting could be a little bit overextended here. Has to be careful of a wraparound from Twig, but it's actually a cheeky setup from NRG there. They had people waiting in the wings in case that happened.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. NRG is being much less reactive in this game and much more proactive. It's NRG's Adapting, going to the right-hand side, and his team following up first. And as it turns to Obey, instead of them being like, hey, we're invading on the right-hand side, they're saying, we need help on the right-hand side. There's that response time.
And look at the wards.
It's a little bit harder. Look
at the wards on this side of the map in favor of NRG here. Just trying to keep it completely pinned down. Keep an eye on the rotations from Milsey and Pretty Prime. And also look to pressure the blue buff. It's Xaylia who's in trouble this time. He'll get pulled in. No beads this time round, Sunshine. Yamin credit with a kill, and Twig forced out just away from the Stellar Burst. And Milsey's silence will allow that to happen. But NRG do get the kill, and they also, I believe, strip away that blue buff.
Great job by Yamin. Perfect positioning to be safe over that wall and still be in position to follow up. And that was perfect timing from NRG because Xaylia's beads are already back up. That was a short window that they had left from getting it on the right-hand side, and they understand that it doesn't matter if they're up in 2 seconds, they're down. If they're down, and that's a free kill.
Well, this is professional play, so you should know buff timing is relatively close to the mark. They'll be letting each other know when the beads went down, how long until they're back up. This is just the sort of thing you expect at this level of play.
Someone on the team always is doing your math for you. You know, someone says, hey, they beads, and then someone's like either types it in on the PC chat or just says out loud, okay, they'll be up at 8, 39. So
how did you deal with that on console, out of interest? What was the call?
I was the math guy.
Did you have?
I'm
you
awful
a
at
math
math
guy?
Yeah, I literally had to.
No wonder you lost so much.
I had to practice. I would think about whatever 160 seconds was from any given time. I'm not doing it anymore.
313.
No, I'm not doing it anymore.
420.
I'm retired. I'm washed up for a reason, Hindu.
Okay. It was worth trying. So now as it stands 2-1 still, Obey and NRG. This is relatively close. Obey with the experience lead, so the gold lead, at least for the time being. Experience is actually even, but it's not much of anything. NRG, the only one who's been slightly more proactive, as we were saying, and Obey reactionary.
Now, both of these teams have some weaknesses in the later stages. Adapting not going to be quite as impactful in the late game as he is in the early, but a Willish still can be a big deal in the late game. Actually can box late game Hunters 1v1 because of the power buff that Gravity Surge gives you. But Obey Alliance, they have a little bit better late game for me. Now Yemen on the Soul, that's the biggest hyper carry from late game on either side. So look for him to be the biggest impact. And NRG's got excellent front line in order to protect.
And Mills are going to get plucked into an awkward spot, pulled in by Adapting, knocked up and then flipped on as well. Dharmic Pillars come in, but not enough to stop Millsy falling down. And Rafa will do a bit of taunting there as he confirms that nice little pluck combo. Melito versus Ataraxia though, hello?
Ataraxia winning that trade handily with the extra lifesteal, whereas Emilito's gone for what's probably going to be a shifter shield.
Interesting. We've not seen one of those in a little while. Everyone off that, but Twig now aggressed on too. Knocked up in the air, and the drum sound from Prime to say no. Leave my jungler alone for a minute. Hunter's still potentially going at it in that left-hand side too. Ataraxia looking to try and pressure back once more. Interesting little scraps going on.
And Ataraxia going for the lifesteal with the Devourer's Gauntlets, plus having that Spring Season on the first ability to give you a little bit of extra lifesteal on your auto attacks is always going to outtrade you in terms of just outright health gain in the midst of this. So Emilito going for a different style, looking for more power with what's probably going to be a shifter shield. Medusa scales really, really well with power because of how ability-based she can be, but also has that ability to be the late-game hunter. If you want to build shifter shield into the rest of your items, going crit chance and attack speed and penetration, it'll work out for you.
Maniac going to fall to the right again by another gang by Twig, just catching that one on camera, making it 3 for 2 in favor of NRG in terms of kills for now. Well, that Millsy pick, though, we saw from NRG moments ago as well. You know what? That was very reminiscent of the old school of Millsy that NRG used to look to abuse. If you remember the ward situation, and Millsy did a good job of correcting that, but that time round, you know, you can't win them all. You're going to get picked sometimes.
You can't win them all, and if a team's going to commit 3 ultimates to killing you, that's a heavy investment. Now, you shouldn't be putting yourself in a position where you can get solo ulted by 3 ults and have no one there to follow up, and that was the case for Obey, is that no one was in the neighborhood to capitalize off the fact that NRG had used 3 ultimates. But if they continue to do that, if NRG continues to dump that much to kill a Millsy and Obey is there, that's going to end up being in Obey's favor.
Oracles will go the way of Obey there as NRG, which is a little bit late to turn up to try and get those. Right-hand side, though, Adapting and Maniac will secure the speed for safety. Adapting now level 11, keeping pace with Twig, and Twig's the one with the 2 kills on the side of Obey.
And that comes down to those invades again, but look at the net worth. I mean, XP is even, but Twig is up. Again, Adapting at the bottom of the net worth charts, even with 3 assists on the 3 kills for NRG.
Well, indeed, be a shifter shield coming out from Emilito. We expected as much, but it's always good to just play it safe in case they pull out any shenanigans.
Yeah, it could go like Void Shield or something, I suppose.
In this game?
No, it comes off a different tier too. Yeah, no, it was going to be shifters. Look, shifters not quite as popular after losing that magical protection off the front side. Still have it on the whatever you fall below 50% HP, but this is all about 70 power. That's the entire reason we see it built here for Emilito. Above 50% HP, you're getting a ton of power built in.
Twig just leaped into danger on this right-hand side. Luckily enough, though, he is Circa. Adapting one, managed to pick up both of those back harpies there and get away from the danger. Thought he used his beads at first then, but no, he didn't. He's perfectly fine. So a nice little steal out of Adapting that time round, and Twig, though, will get his own speed as NRG relinquished the pressure a little bit earlier than they may have liked.
Adapting heading over to the left-hand side to try and put some pressure onto Ataraxia, who does have a ward there. He's not willing to give up this purple without a fight, though, because the rest of Obey is on the way.
And this is just everybody, like we said earlier, NRG being the ones aggressing, and it's Obey being reactionary, but slightly quicker reactionary than what NRG were last game, and that's why they're not finding as many fruitful benefits of this early pressure.
And both of these teams play very well playing reactionary. They're both incredibly quick to react. Sure. They're both very opportunistic teams. I think that's the word that described the old Obey Alliance best. They were opportunistic. They would sit and wait for the first 19 to 23 minutes of the game, and you would mess up missing an ability by a mid-harpy, and they would pounce all over you, wipe your team, get a gold fury. And that has potential here, but NRG has done the same thing to so many teams.
Amelito will get the red. I was about to say, look at game one. I mean, the death on Amelito wasn't the be-all and end-all, but it was impactful enough that you make that small mistake and you get punished for it against teams like Obey.
The reason that NRG, Obey, and Dignitas are all so good, especially when playing at their best, is because you cannot give them anything. They take more off of the smallest mistakes than any other team in the world.
And that's what you do at pro play too, because when pro players talk about, small mistakes hurt them a lot, it's true. It's because you played at the highest freaking level. You're expected to make a mistake and be punished for it. Twig all the way in here onto pressure, I should say, onto Twig, as Twig now turned around and by Rafa, and Xaylia comes into play too. Drums of War sounded there by Prime, but can't find Maniac. Paul Demon still being tanked here at the moment. Paul Demon's still alive, but now it's Maniac in trouble too.
72 transformations was interrupted, and Ataraxia is going to find that kill. First one goes to Obey in an extended engagement. And Rafa's still here, but no ultimate. Around the back comes Emil.
Emil comes around the back, doesn't get the Petrify off he was looking for though, and instead he's a lot more damage than he wants to. Has to get away from Prime, who goes all the way in onto Amelito. Meanwhile, left-hand side, Adaptin's boxing too, leaps over Prime's damage. Prime has to use the beads there and I believe some Aegis to keep himself alive, but Emilzy still juking out to keep away from Yamin and set up Yamin to die, and Ataraxia has head-butted 2 players in that fight.
And that's the difference between new Ataraxia and old Ataraxia. Old Nate dashes away, trying to save his own life. He recognizes that that's worth his death. He's probably dead either way. I'm going to go aggressive, as did Prime. All of Obey played that fight so aggressively, and it works out in their favor. It goes 2 for 1 in Obey's favor, and Prime stays alive with that Doom Orb. Also, got to give shout-outs to Captain Twig. That initial play of him blinking in and ulting, adapting, and throwing him out of the leash range of the Portal Demon, because Raffer was there with Lurking in the Waters to secure it, but he hadn't done any damage to it. So Twig actually resets the Portal Demon with Last Breath and ends up leaving it open for Obey to come in and contest. Insane from Captain Twig.
So nobody gets the Portal Demon. Instead, everyone just ends up having to go back to farming once more. Gold Furies and Portal Demons, neither taken so far.
Look at what Twig has gone for in the jungle as well. He's 2-0. He was working. He had Mace 1. It was an extra 15 power. Then he built Hide of the Urchin 2 and has gone back to building on the Mace. Oh, okay. This is Armored Cloak is really, really cost efficient for the gold. Not quite as good as Silver Breastplate in terms of tier 2 items that give you enough bang for your buck, but certainly near the top. You get all prots, magical and physical, health, mana. That's enough to carry Twig through the early game of damage from adapting and Maniac, I should say, that he's not worried about that for the moment. So now he's opting back into damage and will come back and finish that Hide of the Urchin after whatever penetration option he wants to go for.
Well, we talked about farming and how NRG had control in the early game, but look at the level difference now. It's Obey that have managed to hold on and now starting to swing in their favor. Level lead in the jungle for Twig for the moment. Same can be said for Pretty Prime in the mid on this Raijin.
And it's because Obey hasn't overcommitted to defending on the right-hand side. If NRG's invading, they're making sure Obey's making sure that they can secure their own buffs on the left-hand side. They're ensuring that they can get their own the oracles, the fire demon portal, whatever you need to try and stay even in terms of XP, whereas NRG was overcommitting, losing right side buffs and then losing left side buffs because they lost the engage on the right.
Well, the carries have to be very, very careful here as Rafa comes in. Good knock-up, and now it's Ataraxia has to Aegis defensively, and Millsy going to make sure that Rafa doesn't get away. Ataraxia will fall too, however, and now pressure onto Twig, who's ticking away, and he will fall down to Amelito. In still goes Adapting, looking for the elephant. Yamin is going to continue the beatdown process, and 3 kills for 1 in favor of NRG Esports.
So that's exactly what I was talking about when it comes to Sobek, who needs to be careful on damage when he plucks in, but just as NRG used too many ultimates and resources to kill Emilzy earlier on, there was no one around to punish them for it. This time Obey commits too much to Raffer, and all of NRG is right there. Adapting left pretty much unchecked after going down below half HP. Emilito with a big Petrify and having all of those relics still down from Obey Alliance from the fight on the right-hand side ends up coming up big for NRG.
Tell you what, Yamin's having a fantastic game so far as well. Just under 10k damage so far.
Yes.
It is a low damage game because everyone is basically all in the team fights, and that's the only real poke we're seeing in this. But Yamin's position has worked out very well from your good use of his ultimate and the disapparate so far.
He's done a great job of baiting himself when necessary, going in when he knows he can. The ultimate positioning has been good, as you mentioned. Yamin definitely stepping it up in game 2.
And has that hide of the urchin. Another pause coming out this game. It's 7-5, just under 19 minutes in this one as it stands, as that portal demon goes. NRG's away, so they find a win off the back of that last fight.
So this next team fight is going to be massive for both teams because the game is pretty much even, and now on both sides, carries are building that hide of the urchin. So usually whenever you're even, it's whoever gets that first team fight, because that's going to get your initial stacks on hide of the urchin, get you a little bit closer to the damage items on the other side of it. So if Obey ends up on top, that means that all of a sudden Prime is super tanky, still doing a lot of damage, and Yamin is still sitting there with no stacks like, man, this item doesn't do a lot for me right now. So this next team fight is going to be absolutely critical, because if one team wins it pretty dominantly, Yamin gets 2, even 3 stacks on that hide of the urchin, all of a sudden he's the unkillable one. So this could be pretty volatile between these two. This next team fight is huge.
And that's the actual funny thing about the hide of the urchin. I know we've not seen it in a while. It started coming back into play, but before it was even seen, it did get some changes to it where the protections went down, but the stacks went up. So already technically got a nerf there, but a buff at the same time, I guess, in terms of the stackage.
A little bit less worth it initially on purchase, and a little bit more worth it whenever you get those stacks.
And then we see it.
And then you see it.
And then we see it. It's been there all year.
It has been there all year. You know what? There's a lot of items. Sometimes it takes a while for everyone to get on the same page and try out an item in a different situation.
And generally, it's low-level pros that do. Sorry, low-level players that do it first, like casual base.
Yep.
Then it'll be the pro players, and then it'll filter down through the ranks to everybody. And then before you've actually started seeing it in your gold games, it's probably already out of meta.
Yes, exactly.
Because the patch has come through.
By the time you see it in the low-level games, it's already been patched out.
Tailwind Tower in the mid being sieged down here. Minions now out, but Yamin's still feeling it, going aggressive, using the disapparate. Ataraxia gets a nice little route off on it to adapt him, but not a whole lot of damage. Twig, though, looking to just give some kisses to Rafa and Yamin. Yamin rejected those kisses this time round, however. Rafa will always accept him in this situation.
Mid tower so low, and with Yamin on the soul and Emilito, who's level 18 on this Medusa, Obey know that they can't really contest that. This build for Emilito has worked out beautifully thus far. Not worried about attack speed.
Oh, blink from Twig, looking for Yamin again. The disapparate was used at the same time, though. And Emilito was sneakily sliding away on the Medusa for now, but pressure for Obey around the gold period. They're not going to look for it, however.
No, Emilito's still too healthy, and everyone still has relics except for Captain Twig, who used the blink to engage. So Obey realized that even if they had that NRG had committed to getting that tier 1 tower in mid, they didn't commit anything to get it. It was just standing in the right spot, and Obey too slow to react that time around.
Oh, into the jungle go Obey, looking to defend their red buff here, and they will do so. I believe Prime got the last little hit with the Taiko drums on that. Was that me being wrong?
Yeah, it was Rafa, actually, who stole it away with the Sickening Strike.
I thought I went red. That's my bad.
It was a little blue ghost.
I thought I saw a red ghost. I'm colorblind.
I think it was the little harpy went red.
Okay.
The big one.
Thanks for saving me, I guess.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, that's nice. Still, no goal Fury's taking this game, but plenty of contests around it. Like you said, it's still the same sort of game here at 21 minutes in, where the next team fight could be the be-all and end-all of who takes the game by the scruff of the neck and looks to close it out. And
it's a matter of how much farm Obey wants to get, because they have to be wary of how much more farm they're giving to Emilito, who's working towards what's probably going to be an Executioner there in that 5th item slot, or 4th item slot in total terms of completed total items, not starter items. Then Yamin working towards some penetration, whereas Pretty Prime, yes, the pen is going to be really important for him, but that Doom Orb is giving him more damage than Yamin's Bancroft's Talon is giving to him. So if Prime sells his Bumba's Mask and gets a little bit of penetration with that focus shard. So this is a smart pickup from him. Understanding this next team fight is going to be critical, so he needs even that little boost of pen in order to get him there.
It's funny to see Emilito has taken a lead over Ataraxia so much when we mentioned how far Ataraxia was in the lead.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this game, with all the less attention that was paid on him, having to lane against Rafa, but now it seems to have been swings and roundabouts as Emilito now in the lead with a good level over Ataraxia for now. Even the Oracle is now being looked at by both teams.
Emilzy and Pretty Prime in the forefront. Good poke coming out from Pretty Prime on that Raijin. And Emilito's lead really comes down to the fact that Ataraxia has been killed twice in these team fights, whereas Emilito hasn't been knocked down once. And even when you're ahead when you die, you're kind of bestowing some of that lead onto the enemies.
He can still farm, I can't.
Exactly. Emelito's taking advantage of that nicely.
Well, clearance in the mid lane. I mean, with a Medusa and Sol, it's going to be very hard to siege down towers with minions. When the minions disappear in a blink of an eye, you're going to have to make sure at least one of those two are not there at the time to look for tower pressure.
And I like Raffer's prioritization of Shogun's Kasari. He gets the Jade Emperor's crown, just reducing the overall physical power of Obey Alliance. Pretty standard second item for supports these days. But immediately into the Shoguns. He's got a little bit of health, but not a ton between these two items, and a little bit of protection, but not a ton. But he's level 14. He's got the low nose, a little bit of extra HP from the Swiftwing as well, which helps him get in position to find these ever important plucks set up for adapting. But with how little attack speed Emelito is built for, that Shogun's is big.
Rafa took a lot of free poke there, looking for the dash, didn't find it. And Prime's going to go all the way in, actually, into the backside. Emelito pressured out on the left as Twig forced to run back, but Maniac's going to give chase with a pin, and that's going to force Twig back even further. NRG still seem to be on the hunt here. They were looking for the purple originally, and that purple is now going to go down and stolen by Emelito.
NRG just didn't really take a lot of damage between Last Breath and Taiko Drums. The Serket and Raijin ultimates just weren't really impactful. Raffer missing that pluck, needs to be a little bit careful because Ataraxia is there, but Maniac with a big taunt as well.
And there's a big old ultimate out of Yamin too. Dharmic Pillar's down though, comes into play from Emilzy defensively. Raffer's still on the front side, now going to be committed on all in. The rest of his team are still fighting on the back line, basically dealing with the raging bull that is Zalia. And Captain Twig will pick up a kill too. Instead of chasing kills, however, it's collapsed to the Gold Fury. One team fight.
Zalia dominated that entire team fight for Obey. He just ran through the entire backline while Raffer is trying to chase a kill onto Ataraxia. The peel from Prime and Emilzy were great, and no one was looking at the backline from NRG. Maniac had to get out of there because he was the initial engage and had to be careful without his cooldowns, and Zalia just goes completely unchecked on the backside.
And notice when you look at the two carries that died there, Yamin and Emelito, both of them still have their Aegis up.
Maniac. No, Obey got it. Silence was there from Emilzy in time. I like Maniac's idea to try and get in there and steal it though.
Might as well give it a go. Worst case scenario, you're going to be back in the base with your teammates who are just respawning now. But yeah, both Emelito and Yamin didn't have time to use the Aegis there. Only used the beads around the same sort of timing as you can see, but they couldn't get anything else off in that team fight when Zalia turned up.
And they were just so grouped together. It's very difficult.
Always an issue with carries, man.
Exactly. Your mid laner and your hunter cannot be together if you don't have someone protecting for them. Now there are times if it's one member that there's a lot of moments where mid laners and hunters peel for each other in the back line, and that's good, and you need that. But you can't be stacked on top of one another. If you're both getting zoned by the same person, or even worse, getting hit by the same abilities at the same time, Zalia's job is made easy by Yamin and Emelito standing next to each other.
And take into account Kukulkan, he has that Vent Anger all around him, does AoE damage, and the Mystical Mail in tow, which means he's getting double damage off on each of those.
Plus, during the transformation, you always have that Vent Anger pulsing around you. That's guaranteed damage that you aren't getting away from, and it's not a small area either. No. I mean, that is a large portion of these jungle lanes that are just going to get ticked down because of the Anger, the Venting, and the Mystical Mail.
So let's have a look at the graphs real quick and just see the difference between these two in this game. You can see that NRG have had moments, if not been ahead at moments in this game, but that last team fight, all in all, kind of broke the back of the game a little bit and has given Obey the lead, even though it's NRG pushing up.
And again, as I mentioned, that team fight was going to be so critical. Let's take a look at the height of the Urchin stacks between these two. NRG don't really... Yemen, 0. Maniac, 0. Right. On the other side, 4 for Twig and Prime, 5 for Emilzy on the Ganesh. That is a significant tank buff in Obey's favor. They are far, far tankier than NRG's carries.
So not only the Gold Fury, not only the Fire Giant, not only the Portal Demon, but stacks and a tier 1 tower in mid as well. Looks like NRG do want to defend here, though. We mentioned it's a Sol and a Medusa, so defense should be better. But there's a bit of play coming out here as Rafa going to flick in and pull Emilzy into danger. Emilzy, but with the target they're really after in this fight, though, and they're lurking in the waters from Rafa will get him away just for now. But he's going to have to return back to base. NRG will hold the tier 2, but just look at how weakened it is already.
Maniac, the only one left with an ultimate on the side of NRG, whereas Captain Twig still waiting to use his. There he goes, blinking into the back line, and he's going to find Emil, toss him right into the waiting clutches of the rest of Obey.
And now Emelito will be no more. Maniac will heal on the backside for now. The tier 2 tower being down. In goes Rafa again to try and poke him and has to disengage. But there's a nice, decent-sized minion wave for a second there for Obey to continue attacking, and maybe they'll look to do more there. But Twig just ate a little bit more damage than he wanted to from Yaman.
But the carries for Obey is still very, very healthy. Problem is the tank's not quite as much. Zalia's good enough, but Emilzy being around half HP means that Obey has a little bit of trouble tanking up this Phoenix, so instead they have to wait for the minion wave, which buys energy some time to get Emilito back.
And that's the key, though, is Emilito is still down, and that's why Obey is trying to siege this up a little bit more, knowing they've not got two guys to deal with. Rafa plucks on Emilzy, and Emilzy goes for a wild ride again, knocked up in the air. Silence is going to deny two from him, and Promoting is still alive. Emilzy is running round with the Dominic Pillars, and Ataraxia will take down Yamin. Emilzy is still alive. Maniac is, and as Ataraxia picks up Adapting too. Did Ataraxia just 2v1?
2v1 underneath a Phoenix. Zalia was there with him as well.
Okay,
Zalia diving into the back line. So a 2v2, but Obey ends up with both. Three-man Mez from Pretty Prime. Talk about peeling for your support, supporting the support. That's you're jumping in as a mid-mage into 3 people, but because of those massive High to the Urchin stacks for Pretty Prime, he's not too worried with his full HP bar as well.
This is so scary.
Obey's team synergy is insane. It's absolutely insane. Dignitas, pound for pound, probably a little bit more talented across the board, player for player, but I don't think anyone in the world plays as well as a unit as Obey Alliance. It impresses me every single game.
Take into account the way Obey have always been is team synergy and team play style. They lost Maniac to NRG as well, had to pick up Zalia, and Zalia's walked into this team and is doing exactly what they still need.
Zalia might have won this game for Obey Alliance.
From that one
with
team
the team fight on the left-hand side, and that's exactly what, I mean, imagine we were talking about, you know, Prime, Emilzy, Twig, Ataraxia. They want to beat Maniac because he left them. You know, he ditched them for a team that he thought was going to be better. But if I'm Zalia in that situation, I want to get revenge for my new teammates, number one, but I also want to prove that I'm just straight up better than this guy. And Zalia has looked like the better solo laner in this set.
Let's be honest, these two, Zalia and Maniac, go back a long way. They've fought countless times against each other, and at times they've both considered the best European solo laners in the world. And now, the day is not with them, but one of them may get back to that once more.
Everyone's looking up at Variety right now in terms of European solo laners, no doubt about that.
And surprisingly, Variety climbed a long way from the old days, that's for sure, too. So swings and roundabouts, even in the solo lane. NRG, though, we're hanging around the Fire Giant for them, just trying to get some wards down and coverage. But as soon as Obey turn back up, they kind of got to leave it like, okay, you are on the offensive now. And just check in with those High to the Urchin stacks one more time.
Look at that. 8 for Pretty Prime, 7 for Twig, 9 for Emilzy. I mean, it's
just a cheater, though.
So much.
Emilzy's a cheat because he's playing Ganesh.
Well, yeah, you got the extended assist range. Yeah, you can basically get one across the map. It's not quite that big, obviously, but it can feel like it at times. It certainly helps out and makes High to the Urchin.
Feels like a Thorult style, that's why.
Yeah.
About the same size as Thorult.
Yeah, it's okay, it's not that big. You're gonna people in Twitch chat are gonna believe you.
I know. That's the whole idea. 20 kills in this game at 30 minutes in, and you saw NRG couldn't really contest that Fire Giant. They didn't think it was worthwhile because if they lose the Fire Giant contest, they will lose the game with 2 Phoenixes being down. Instead, they're going to look to try and defend. Gold Fury is the first point of defense here because they can all see the standing around in their own jungle, looking towards it, not sure if they want to commit. Where's everybody hiding is a question, but no one really has any wards to clear out the area, really. The bait is here, though, and it's going to be the elephant that walks into it first.
But Emilzy's not the right target. Takes a lot of damage, though. Yaman drops the ultimate, but Twig and Zalia immediately into the back line, forces everyone from NRG back.
And now the rest of Obey turn up, so NRG are forced all the way back. They'll give up the tier 1 tower on the left-hand side. Do you defend the tier 2, or is it only the Phoenix?
No, definitely only the Phoenix here, because look at where the Fire Wave in mid is deep enough that NRG has to worry about that. Plus, tier 2, 1,500 gold at this stage of the game. NRG doesn't care about that. That's not important. They need to just get as close to their own base as they can.
I tell you, with Valent Squadron drawing with Dig earlier on, this is doom and gloom for NRG right now. Like, they're in trouble. I'll say that now. They really are. They've not looked clean all year. They'll admit that themselves, but losing 2-0 here to Obey as well in a game that you'd expect to more than likely be a split. It could even go either way, but it's just problematic.
And that's what's so heartbreaking for NRG is that they just came off their best performance of the split against Dignitas, where they split with them. And if they can even get another split here, that's momentum for them to carry on through the rest of their easier schedule after that. but now losing all that momentum with possibly a 2-0 here, that's tough.
Onto a Millsy, but a Millsy going to elephant away for the time being. Drums of War from Prime is doing great work to keep the pin back, and he'll jump straight in there alongside Ataraxia. Only Rafa left standing with a Melito trying to defend mid lane.
That's it.
Medusa can't do much about this on their own. He's going to try and make a play, but no ultimate available. Means the fire minions will help and come to the rescue. Obey 2-0 NRG.